First of all, thank you so much, Rene, for agreeing to do this interview with me. You know how much I love you and respect you and honor you and value you and your time. So I am so grateful and humble that you have decided to do this interview with me. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
All right. So, Rene, you've been on the podcast before and really only shared like 1% of your amazing story. If y'all want to learn more about Rene, go back and listen to our interview. We did a 2-part series. It's episodes 17 and 18 and learn more about Rene. And you can also wait because he is in the midst of writing a best-selling book. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Rene. Okay, Rene. Tell the people who you are.
Yeah, I'm Rene St. Pierre, and yeah, that's the name they gave me when I was born. So that's all. Like, if you want to learn more, go back, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. Go back, listen to the podcast. You know.
Yes. I love it because y'all, Rene is a straight shooter. Rene and I actually worked together in a 6-month mentorship that I had called Master Your Inner World Mentorship. And we worked together very, very intimately because there were times where basically Rene got like one-on-one coaching from me because people were busy or, whatever happened. And so I have been a witness or been in the front seat of Rene's transformation. So Rene, before we started working together, first of all, let me say this, and I know I've said this before, but I think it's worth saying again. When I first started my business, I only worked with women. And as I continue to work with women and heal myself and just meet so many amazing men, I'm like, I need to work with men too. But I was afraid, for some reason, Rene, I was afraid to like work with men. I don't know what that was about, but I do know I was playing small, right? I didn't want whatever. I was playing small. So I was like, I'm not going to work with men. Even though I knew that I could, I was like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want like the women that I work with to feel uncomfortable and did all these things. So I was like, I'm not going to work with it. And finally I was like, you know what? Yes, I am, because that is my calling. That is my purpose, to work with men. Y'all, like a day or two after I put that out there in the atmosphere, Rene messaged me and I was like, what? And just even by him messaging me, in his message to me, I knew that we would work together because I could just like feel his spirit. So I'm so glad that I said yes to myself and working with men, because Rene was like right there. So anyway, Rene, so where were you before we started working together? Like, where were you in your life? What are some things you had done that worked and some things that you had done that really didn't work?
I had done a lot. I would definitely say more so than the average fella. I've been chasing greatness. Mm-hmm. My entire life, and people told me there was something wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with me. If you want to be great, be great.
Yes.
And I had been labeled as everything under the sun: ADD, ADHD. I was a troubled kid, drug addict, heroin addict, criminal, bipolar. I mean, dude, there's so many labels they threw at me that I can't even remember them all.
Yes.
And I just wanted to be great.
Yes. Yeah.
And Andréa helped me do that, straight up. I tried sober houses, halfway houses, treatment centers, pill mills, pain management, methadone clinics, Suboxone doctors, getting a girlfriend, not getting a girlfriend, making millions of dollars, losing millions of dollars, being homeless, not being homeless. I can keep going, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the stock market, losing it, losing 130 pounds, becoming a yoga teacher, getting my degree in psychology, facing life in prison. Like, I can keep going.
Yes, yes.
And then I found Andréa, and I got help for the first time.
Whew, okay. Rainey, I did my makeup for this, so I do not want to cry. No.
I just got to keep it real. Like she didn't save me, right?
Right.
She held the space for me to do me.
Yes.
And be me and chase that greatness that they labeled that there was something wrong with me, you know?
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with me.
No, oh my gosh. Y'all, see, I told y'all Rainey is like a straight shooter and he does not hold anything back. And this is what I love about Rainey. So as y'all can see, like he tried everything. You tried everything. And what was that moment, Rainey? Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, those great words about me. You know, I appreciate you. And with that being said, like, what was that moment? Or do you remember that moment when you knew, like, okay, I want to work with Andréa? And then what was it about the energy? What was it about it that made you say, I want to work with Andréa?
It had come from a recommendation from Emily Aarons. In the whole thing, you were in Sedona and you decided to work with men. And I had run into the thing, like, even with Emily, she worked with me, but I have noticed a lot of women teachers that were really good, specifically only worked with women. Mm-hmm. And at first, that was a stumbling block to work with Emily. I was all up in my head. Does she work with men? Does she not work with men? I reached out, one thing led to another. And by a recommendation of her, and I knew I had to address trauma. Trauma was the only thing I had never addressed. Mm-hmm. And I've been to 75 different drug treatment centers and detoxes. Mm. I've been in therapy since I was 2 fucking years old.
Wow.
Like, no joke.
Wow.
Because no one knew what to do with me.
Right. Because you were too great.
I knew more than the teachers.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Or knew that they were full of it, or whatever the heck it was. Not that I knew more. I knew it wasn't helping me.
Right. Right. And I don't know if you remember this, but one of the first things you said to me when we first, like, after you like messaged me on Facebook and we started doing the voice notes, you were like, I wrote your name on a Post-it note like 14 months ago. Do you remember that?
That's what there's so many things. Like, I had heard you on Emily's podcast. You guys got to understand, I didn't even know what a podcast was 2.5 years ago. Like, I was a street dude that the way I was able to manage my street life was, a real street guy does not have Facebook, does not have Instagram. Like, I'm not out there stunting to get caught.
Right.
Sucker.
Right.
So, this whole world was a new world for me, and completely overwhelming and completely terrifying. Mm-hmm. But I had to do it, and I jumped in head first, and I wrote Andréa's name. It was on my refrigerator because I had heard you on Emily's podcast. So the power of manifestation, like, and I've done this my whole life.
Yes.
In a negative context, not knowing that I was always manifesting everything I wanted. It was just negative.
Right.
Or it was the lessons that I needed to learn how powerful I truly was.
Yeah, I was just going to say, right. It's not so much that it was negative, right? Because everything that you've gone through in your life has prepared you for this moment, the moment where you can spend a weekend with millionaires, speakers, and entrepreneurs and movers and shakers, right? Like, all of that prepared you for the moments that you're now living and experiencing right now. So what were some of your major breakthroughs or transformations I know you had a lot of them, so just whichever ones you want to share.
Right. There was so many. It was First of all, it was that for the first time in my life, I got the help that I needed. No one told me I was a piece of shit. No one told me I was worthless. No one told me, my lips were moving, so I was lying. Like, these are all the things that they conditioned into me. They programmed into me that I had a disease and I was powerless to change it. And not to trust my next thought and feelings. Like, they'd laugh at you and be like, this doesn't feel right. My intuition. And Andréa didn't say any of that. She encouraged me to listen to my intuition. She encouraged me to trust myself. She encouraged me to tell my story. Like, my story's so good, I've hid from it.
Yes.
It's that good.
Yes. Like, real talk, y'all. I know Rene's story. Like I said, we worked together very intimately for 6 months, and I'm it's not in my place to share. He wrote a book, so y'all get the book. What's the title of the book again, Rene?
It is Addicted to Outside Help: How to Conquer Your Addiction from Within.
Woo! Addicted to Outside Help. My God. Ooh, y'all. Okay. So y'all write that down on the post-it note, put it in your notepad or something. It's coming. It's coming.
6 months ago, I was ready to kill myself before I worked with Andréa. This is not made up. I had checked off, I know I said to Andréa, I had checked off every tough guy box you could check off twice.
Yes.
Why do I feel so weak? Why do I feel so insecure? Can you help me help myself? Because I know I'm a gangster. And I know you are. I don't even know you, but I know you are. How can you help me? And just help me. And I didn't have the money and I didn't care. It's like, it's the perfect story. I just put it on my credit card and somehow the money showed up. Like,
yes.
And I still owe a little bit on my credit card. I'm keeping 100 with everyone. But like, I was going to spend that money shooting dope.
Oh my God. Wow.
So why not save my life?
Yes. Wow. Why not save my life? Why not save my life? Wow.
Because nobody cares. Nobody cares. So just do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Although Andréa cares.
Right.
I found somebody who cares. There are people who care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are.
Yeah. Wow. Because you know what, Rene, and it's so interesting because I feel in my heart like you writing my name on the Post-it note 14 months, before we had worked together was the reason why. And of course I didn't know it because I didn't know you, right? When you wrote my name, I didn't know you, right? Because how could I, right? You were in Boston and Florida or Portland, wherever you were, right? Right. You were doing you, right? And I'm in Wisconsin, so I couldn't have known you. But in my heart of hearts, I believe that you were the reason why I said yes to working with men when I did. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like I said it in like November. Most people are like, I'll wait till the first of the year and, change up and all that. But it was like, and when I said yes, Rene, it was almost like Spirit was saying, no, you need to do it now. You need to do it now. And after I put that out there, a couple of days later, I saw you in my inbox. I was like, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. And the thing about it is, Rene, the truth is you are not a piece of shit, right? You are not no good. You are not whatever they said about you. Like, that's not who you are, right? That's really not who any of us are. And really all we need is someone to hold the space for us so that we can see that for ourselves. And I think one of the main differences between like the you 6 months before, or, before we were working together and the you now is that you see yourself for who you really are, not through the lens of outside help, like your book is Addicted to Outside Help. And what you were doing is you were looking for help on the outside, but because that's all you knew, right? That's all of us are conditioned to do, is to really look for help on the outside and not go within. And so, you went within yourself and that's when you found you. And if you don't mind me saying this, another major breakthrough that you had is that you always excel at everything that you do.
Everything. I couldn't have written this book without Andréa, because I discovered my story.
Yeah.
My story was I went for help. I was a two-sport Division I athlete, and I went for help.
Yes.
And I experienced the system for 20 years that a very tiny percent of the population know about, can even fathom goes on out there because it's ugly. And most people wouldn't survive what I survived. And so now I just want to go grow weed and hide in the woods and keep to myself when I found this out about 1.5 years ago. And God was like, no, bro, I'm going to put you in the room with 6- and 7-figure business owners and Inky Johnson, the top, and David Shands and Wall Street Trapper and Ash Cash. Like, dude, what?
And you know what I love about you, Rene, is that, and y'all will learn this too about Rene if you follow him. He's Unconquered Healing on Instagram. And your website is unconqueredhealing.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, unconqueredhealing.com. Follow him. Addicted to Outside Help. That's his book coming out. So y'all will learn this about Rene, but Rene shows up exactly as he is. There is no fronting. There's no pretense. There's no, at least this Rene that I know, right? And from what I know about even in the past, the Rene that showed up back then was the Rene who you knew yourself to be at the time. It's just that now you know yourself to be powerful. Do you know what I'm saying?
I manifested everything.
Yeah.
I manifested the heroin addiction. I manifested facing life in prison. I chose all this, before I was born, to learn whatever lesson I needed to learn. And see, I was always down with being accountable. Ask anybody that ever coached me, right? They'll always say I was coachable. I did what I did with you.
Yeah.
My old pattern was I would sabotage. I go straight to the top. And then the reason I worked with her, with Andréa, is the self-sabotage. I couldn't figure it out. It was like I checked off all these tough guy boxes, made money, lost money. My wife's freaking amazing. Like, what the heck? What is this? What is going on with me? How do I help myself? No amount of money, no amount of drugs. It's not going to solve this. So how do I solve this?
Yes.
And you just held the space for me to figure it out. You didn't tell me anything. You didn't put your belief system on me. Nope. Nothing. Mm-mm. I have to believe I have a disease, and in order for me to graduate, I got to tell you that I'm diseased, and I don't even believe it, but I'm conforming just to conform because I'm so broken and insecure. I don't know what else to do other than to raise my hand and say I'm an alcoholic. But what is an alcoholic? It was the solution to my problem. And then I went for help. And that's my story.
Yeah.
Drug treatment's a money-making scam in this country.
Yeah. And Rene, you're not the only one who shares this. And for those of y'all who don't know, please go back and listen to a little bit more of Rene's story, because he shared it previously, his experience, 20 years in the treatment industry. And Rene rubbed elbows with the top echelon in the treatment industry. So when Rene speaks, he speaks with the experience of someone who actually knows. He's not saying what his friend, Bill told him that Chad had said, that Anthony then went around the corner and hid it from somebody else. No, Rene is speaking from his personal experience. So when you hear him talking about the drug treatment industry and the pill mills and body snatchers and all of that, this is based on Rene's experience. And even Rene, when we were working together, there were pieces of your stories that just coming to you, you were like, oh, shoot, like I was sitting, meditating, walking on the beach. And then I had this memory of this story. And you're like, that really happened to me. Like you had so many revelations of stories that, like you said before, you were like, your story is so, it's actually made for movies and made for TV, right? It's like, how like the drama stories like Power and, all of those, like your life is really truly like, that's your story.
It's so crazy. I wanted to be it when I was a kid, and then I became it, and I didn't want no one to know.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something? and I hid from it. But people know me, you know what I mean? But like, yeah. I also kept it on the down low.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and part of it too is that, when we don't feel safe and supported, right, then we have a tendency to hide our greatness because we're not supported and we don't want our loved ones and everybody else to, think we're better than them or anything like that. But the beauty of owning your story is that, number one, no one can weaponize your story. Then when you own your story and you tell your story, no one can weaponize your story. And the second thing is that when you own your story, like as long as you really truly support yourself and you got like a little support, like a team behind you holding you up, it really doesn't matter what family has to say, mama, dad, cousins, brothers, uncles, like it's really not important because you have your own support system. So I'm so glad we had the opportunity to work together. So now with all of the transformations that you've had, Rene, like in the 6+ months, we worked together for 6 months and now it's been over that. Where are you now? What you up to? I already mentioned your book. What else you doing, Rene?
I'm writing a book and I just moved back to like my life went upside down in the whole midst of this whole thing. I bought a house that fell through, like so many things.
Yes.
I ended up back in South Florida. So I'm back in South Florida. I'm writing a book and I'm just following my intuition. I'm going to continue to build this business and help people. It's been a struggle to, because a lot of people haven't, or my story is not a popular story telling that it's a scam and it's not a disease. And listen, you've all, it was a hard pill for me to swallow that I had been conned for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
So I don't really want to hear that.
Right.
Well, that scared me, but now it's, I was at the Jeremy Anderson Speakers Conference and just working on following my intuition. I'm going to be a speaker. I want to speak in jails. I'm going to speak in, like, my story is so good because I was Prop 48. I lost Division 1 and 2 scholarships. I come from the middle class. I had a swimming pool and a Volvo. Like then I turned to the streets. Like I had countless opportunities, but that was my self-sabotage. That was my whole thing was this self-sabotage thing that is no longer a thing for me. That's what I worked on and healed and accepted my greatness and my high, like in AA in the 12 steps, they told me I thought I was better than people. And Rene, your error, everything was gaslit into not allowing me to be great. And after I walked away from that 3 years ago, it led to Emily and it led to you. It led to Ash Cash. It led to Jeremy Anderson. Like, I just go straight to the top.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because you were created for it. Like you really were created for greatness, Rene. And I know, like I said, our very first conversation before we went to the Voice and Messenger, like when I just first saw your message, I was like, this man is great. There is something so great about this man. And I want to honor him. And I also felt the brokenness. And you know me, I don't have a problem with saying broken. Like, I know some people there are like, you're not broken. You know, it's like, no, we are broken. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's nothing wrong with being broken, because as soon as you admit that you're broken, then you can start putting the pieces together. Like, I was broken, right? And I picked up my life piece by piece. You were broken, and you picked up your life piece by piece. And I felt that. And I was like, this is, and one of the things I told, one of the coaches in the mentorship is, I said, the thing about Rene, I said, Rene knows he's powerful, but he's afraid of his power. I said, Rene knows it, but he's afraid to use it. And over the course of us working together for those 6 months, I saw you little by little by little become familiar with that power, and then use that power little by little. And now you're like going live like 3 times a day. You're going live more than me. I'm like, what Rene talking about now?
It's just walking through it's just like sports. Like,
yeah,
dude, I didn't start off a Division I athlete. I didn't start off all state in Massachusetts. I started off, in Beverly, Massachusetts, in my backyard, throwing a tennis ball against the fence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it didn't, although I was always great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I could never play with kids my age. I was bigger than everybody. That's the psychological damage that was done, but because I was great. And Andréa is the one who helped me unpack all this. Like, I did the work. Listen, I did the work.
You did the work, Rene.
She held the space for me to do that work. And you can't address your trauma unless you're in a safe space. Like, 100%. Good luck.
I love that. You can't address your trauma unless you're in a safe space. And that's actually, Rene, exactly why I decided to go back to school for my PhD in psychology, because as a stress and trauma sensitive coach, I understand that in order for people to, like you said, address their trauma, they have to feel like they're in a safe space. And I want people to know that when you work with me, like, I know I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to go back to get any more certificates or degrees or anything like that. But I want people, at least on paper, to say, oh, okay, she's got her PhD. So that means that she's not this, you know how there's some people who don't have any experience. They, can't work a 9 to 5. So they're like, well, I'm just going to be a coach. And, they like hustle people and all of that. But then some of those same people, Rene, after a year or 2, they come to me like, this last coach I had, they traumatized me and they weren't good, all that. But that's a whole nother.
Believe it.
But it is so important for people to feel safe. And I'm just so grateful, Rene, that you gave me the opportunity to hold space for you. And what is 100% true, and I want to make it 100% clear, is that, Rene, you did the work. I held the space, but you did the work. You showed up every session, every call. You showed up. You asked the questions. You sat. You listened. When things like came up for you, you posted in, you shared in the group. You messaged me like, hey, what is this about? You didn't bypass any of it. You You sat with it. There were days where you were like, oh man, I don't know what to do. This feeling. And you didn't give up. You reached out for help when you needed it. And again, I just held the space, Rene, and you did the work. So thank you for that. And one thing I do want to say, if you don't mind me saying, because I think it's worth mentioning, is that you were able to restore or have a better relationship with your parents, because in healing your trauma, you were kind of able to see like they did the best they could.
There's like so many things that this did for me. Like I've had the most amazing, I probably had 3 or 4 visits up to North Carolina with my parents. My parents did an interview for the book. Like, this has been generational healing. My mother, my father, my sister, my dead grandparents. Like, yes. I know.
Yes.
Like I just My parents will even tell you, they told me I was going to be good. I just did what I wanted to do,
Yes.
which isn't a bad thing because I wanted to be a kingpin.
Yes.
I just didn't know it was going to turn out the way it turned out.
Right.
And the relationships with, my parents and, things have been brutal with my wife. It hasn't been peaches and cream with my wife. It's like we grew apart in a way, and
right.
It's been tumultuous the last, couple of years. But I know at the same part as we're growing apart, we're coming together because we're still staying here and making it work.
Yeah.
So everything wasn't feel good. There was a lot of feel like, I didn't know what I was signing up for. But crying is so good. Like crying is so good. Like happy tears, sad tears. Like it's just, sometimes I just cry and it's just like energy moving. It's not even me crying. I'm like, this isn't even emotional. There's just tears moving from something and I don't even know what it is, but it's like flow.
Yes. 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 I knew what you were signing up for, but I didn't want to tell you because if I would have told you, you would have been like, no, thanks. But I also knew that I could hold the space for you. So I knew that whatever it was that you would face, that I could hold the space for that and I could like 100% support you. And I think I supported you, right, Rainey? I supported you.
There was so many challenges. And I just, so many times, a big, huge fight before a session with Emily where I wasn't going to show. Like there's so many, the devil came at me in so many different ways. Self-sabotage came at me in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I just kept going because what's the other alternative?
Yep, exactly. Oh my gosh. So, Rainey, thank you so much for spending time. Again, y'all, please go follow Rene on Instagram at Unconquer Healing. Go to his website at unconquerhealing.com. And so do you have a release date for your book yet, Rene?
It should be out in the next month or so, but I said, listen, I waited 43 years. Like, let's really make this a New York Times bestseller because this isn't about me.
Right.
I want the parents to know. I want wives and husbands and you know what I mean? There's so many people that have died and it's a 95% failure rate. It's set. I didn't fail anything. It was set up for failure.
Yes.
And I just want people to know, like, bro, you're great. And that didn't work for you because it wasn't supposed to work for you. And if you need help, I'm here. And if not, I'm still here.
Yes. And I do want to say for those of you who are struggling with addiction or someone, please reach out to Rene because the advice that he has for you is so invaluable. I mean, the reason why I promote Rene so much is because I really do wholeheartedly believe in his message and I believe in him as a person. And he is, like I said, like, I know I said the real deal and I know that's like a cliche and all of that, but Rene is one of the most genuine, authentic people that I have had the pleasure of working with. And what I love about Rene is 100% sensitive and he's 100% strong. Now, that is a quality that not everybody taps into. And Rene has, at least I've seen him when we work together, learn how to, because he had the strong part down, how to, be strong and all of that. He didn't have the sensitive part down. And now Rene has embraced that sensitive side of him. And again, he's still a strong man. So I appreciate you, Rene. I love you. I respect you. And you're my guy. And I'm just waiting for my signed copy of the book. All I'm saying.
Yeah, you got it. I wouldn't be here without you, man. Like, God put you in my life for a reason. And I can't wait for you to bless countless more people. Because what you gave me, like, I'm going to set the world on fire. You don't even know what you got started.
I have a little clue of what I got started, and I'm excited. I'm like, go, Rainy, go! Like, I want you to set this mofo on fire. Like, set it on fire, Rainy. Set it on fire.
I will.
Thank you, Rainy.
Thank you, Andréa.